Hello and welcome to another episode of For the Love of Sports. My name is Michael Rasile, and this is the show where we get to talk about sports, business, that little intersection between them. And I got my man Adam Gray with me today. Adam, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Mike? Thank you for having me today. I
The
really appreciate it.
pleasure is all mine, brother. The pleasure is all mine. Adam is a former Division One golfer at the State University of Rutgers. Let's go, Rutgers University. Currently at Virtual Force, working on investor relations, and also still enrolled at Rutgers in their Masters of Communication and Media Studies program. So we appreciate you there, Adam. And as I was just telling you before, I honestly had no idea. Went to Rutgers for 2 years, graduated from there.
Nice.
Out of the business school, which was great.
Oh,
I had
nice.
I had no idea Rutgers had a golf program, so sorry about that.
It's okay. It's okay. None taken. None taken.
Good stuff, man. So I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about golf, how golf and business work together in a couple different ways. I mean, we all kind of know the cliche ways that they go together, right? So we might touch upon those a little bit later, but really
Of
excited
course.
that mental aspect of golf, how you're able to take advantage of that, use it, move forward with it, and really start to crush business. And I know you work with nonprofits at well, so we'll be able to talk about that. But Adam, first question I have for everybody on the For the Love of Sports podcast is, why do you love sports so much?
Well, it's always been like an escape for me, really. And before I found my passion in communication and public relations, investor relations, marketing, and that whole kind of umbrella, the only thing I really knew that was like my drive, my passion was golf, and really not so much just golf, but just like sports in general. I was big into tennis, big into skiing. I still am big into skiing. I've been skiing longer than I've been golfing, but it's just a nice escape where you really can just focus on yourself and the task at hand. And it's just kind of it's like an aptitude test for your physical ability, and I think that's awesome. And especially when you're doing something that you really enjoy and you're like hanging with your pals who really enjoy it as well, and you get to kick their butt at it, or they kick your butt. It's fun. It's really fun, and it gives you something outside of just the kind of the professional life. Now looking at it from more of a professional scope, it's just something to get away from all the stressors in life, and it's also just for all the camaraderie to bring people together, and also just to test yourself, because I mean, there's not many ways to really test your physical ability other than like sports nowadays and working out and whatnot. So I think that's a great way.
I think that is an awesome way to look at it too, especially, as you said, there's that competitive nature with your friends and the other people, but there's also that competitive nature with yourself. And then there's the competitiveness against nature itself, right? All these
Yes.
courses are gorgeous. So I'll also be upfront and honest with you here. I am not a fan of playing golf. I'm absolutely terrible at it. I shank everything and it very quickly becomes not fun for me, but I love golf courses. That there's that green, the driving golf carts. Who the heck doesn't like doing that? And,
Yeah,
and
that's
hand up,
awesome
I'm usually the guy in the cart handing out the beers to everybody too. So
too.
that's my other favorite part. 4th of July weekend's coming up, so we might as well enjoy that. But no, I mean, I just I'm terrible at it, and I'm the kind of person, if I'm really, really bad at something, I have want nothing to do with it. But anytime a buddy of mine says, "Hey, you want to go golf?" 100% I'm there.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let me drive the cart and we're good to go, man. I'll have a blast. So it's always really funny kind of how that works. I guess for you, when did the love of the sport golf really start?
Well, first of all, you made a great point about like the courses, the love for the golf course. The one really unique thing about golf, and it's like also with skiing, let's say, but it's like when you go to a basketball tournament, when you go to a baseball field, they're all the same. I mean, yes, they're in different locations, but they're all regulation standard to keep it a level playing field. Whereas with golf and skiing, but since we're talking about golf, it's like you get a new platform every single time you step foot. And I mean, unless you're playing the same course, but then you have the different elements because it's a different course every single day. The pins can be in different places, so you can have different shots into different holes. It's just constantly changing and evolving, and you have to take so many confounding variables in it and put into one just like swing, while also just blocking all that out and just focusing on just executing. It's a hard balance, and that's what makes it really cool. And it's just a different experience and every single time. But to answer your question, sorry for that detour, but to answer
No,
your
no, I like
question,
that. That's a good detour. That's a great one. I like that.
thank you. But to answer your question about when I first like found the love for golf, That's a very good question because I started playing when I was 3 years old. Really, my dad just kind of gave me a club. I just have like this picture of me like sleeping with a golf club, like you, typical, I guess, of the athlete. And we just started banging balls in my backyard until I could hit them across the street and become a danger. And then we went to the range and we used to go to TPC Avenel and just kind of watch guys coming in while we were sitting on the grass in his old Miata. And so I think it was just like being around the game when I was a sponge of cells was really kind of what latched me on. It was just kind of meant to be, kind of, since my dad introduced me to the game. He didn't really force it on me, and I was just always kind of around it, always watching it. And I love the variety. Like I was saying, it's different every time, and that's what I really, really love.
It is really interesting. Again, when talking about the courses, not only are they in different places, but there's different elements. And not only is it different elements, but even if you play the same course and you know where all the bunkers are, you know where all the water is, as you said, the pins change, or there's different weather. We know wind affects this stuff a lot too, right? Or if it's very
Yes.
dry, maybe the
Yes.
the, the greens and the fairways roll a little differently. So it is really interesting how even if you play, you're never going to play the same course twice, even if you go to the same place every single day. So it's really
Exactly.
it's really interesting how that works. And I like the point you make. I mean, just kind of, just banging balls, man. Who doesn't like hitting stuff with stuff, especially when you're really
Exactly.
young? It's just fun to do that. And once you start to get a little better at something and you start to develop that swing, and as you said, you start hitting across the street. Okay, now we don't want to break anybody's windows. Let's go to the driving range, and there is this, especially with golf, it's always funny because it's such a relaxed sport. Watching it on TV, you got Jim Nance's really nice low tone voice, and it's perfect. And you're watching these guys, and it's really quiet and it's fun. And then you go out with your friends who are terrible, and they start like getting crazy and snapping clubs and throwing stuff everywhere. It's like, what are we doing? This is supposed to be relaxing, but it's really interesting because the mental side, it's so much more mental. Obviously, there's a physical involved. I mean, Tiger Woods did what? He won the U.S. Open or British Open on a torn ACL or something, and
Broken leg.
well, yeah, I walked like 18 miles, both hills,
Oh wait, oh
walked
wait,
away.
open at Torrey
Right.
Pines.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. You got me. So it's just interesting, like how much of the mental game when you're that young, how do you take on that side of the game? It's one thing to swing and hit stuff. That's fun. I love baseball, right? That's how I got into baseball. But the mental aspect of the game, with baseball, it's just reaction. It's like, okay, here's the ball, let me go get it, or here's the ball, let me swing and hit it. With golf, it's 100% on you, 100% in your head. What
Mhm.
is an 8-year-old, what is 8-year-old Adam doing like when he's in that moment and really just trying to figure out this sport on itself?
Well, first of all, it's like what you said, how it's like relaxed, and then you go on the course with your buddies, and it's completely different. It's like golf is whatever you really want it to make it to be. Like, there's some rounds when I'm going out and playing like at Lakewood Country Club where I belong in Rockville, Maryland. Shout out to Lakewood.
Yeah.
There's times when I'm like having just a kind of a casual round with my dad and mother, and we're just kind of joking around, not too serious, but I'm calm. And then there's the round when you're playing for money with your friends, and it's really intense. And there's trash talking, or it's like actual money, and you're not really, and you're kind of
I was
serious.
gonna say,
And then
how much money are we talking?
it can range, and then and then it could be anywhere from like $10 a hole to $144 a hole to whatever you want it to be. But
Hey, teach his own.
yes, exactly. To each his own. Oh well, then you can go out by yourself and just have your tunes and like be as loud or as quiet as you want, or you can just be a complete like donkey and like not care at all, and it's literally whatever you want it to be, and that's another part of the beauty. It can be any vibe, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
So 8-year-old Adam was when I actually just started competitive golf. That's when I started playing in tournaments, whatnot. Smart man.
Thank
Um, so for me, when I was 8-year-old Adam trying to grasp the mental game, I was such a head case, man. I got so mad because I practiced a lot, and I just have high expectations. And as a kid, it's like you expect it to work every time, and you just keep on kind of banging your head on the wall. And I just got angrier and angrier, and my dad would kind of scold me and whatnot, and he taught me really quickly about how like it's not about your opponents, it's about you and composing yourself, because it's not like you can't control what your competitors are doing. Yes, you can in football. You can go hit them as hard as you want. In golf, they're a hole ahead of you. You can't move their ball or anything. It's just you and yourself, and you can only control the controllables. and the controllables is yourself, and you got to hold that to as best as possible, all while having fun. So it 8-year-old Adam didn't really have a good mental grasp of the game. He more had just kind of talent and grit and that competitive edge. And it's the learning curve that really kind of the next few years after that, and getting into thinking about like high school golf, the high school golf team. That's when I really started to grasp the mental game, and then really playing for college golf and throughout college, and now even as an amateur, I'm still evolving. Like this year is one of my biggest kind of breakthroughs mentally, of trying to get to that next level throughout college was very difficult, because it's just I got kind of blurred in my vision of what I was trying to achieve, and it seems like all the best players in the world have the best swings. They know their swings. Blah 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 blah. I was playing swing. I was not playing the game. I was thinking too much about my swing, not just getting the ball in the hole. That's the thing. These guys just are able to get in the hole in the least amount of strokes. I mean, that's the name of the game. Nobody cares about how it looks. There's no pictures on the scorecard. All those sayings, and it's a big learning curve. An 8-year-old Adam, he did not have any of those learning curves.
Hey,
It took a while, but what I did have was when I played well. I mean, you're not really getting mad, so it's just like I'd get hot, and sometimes I'd be cold. So
and I
so
mean, that's just kinda that's the name of most, that's the name of most games, right? It's just, you think so far into it, what's the other super cliche, and I love to say it all the times, too close to the forest to see the trees,
yep.
right? Like, you're way too enthralled or way too engrossed by a specific thing when you really kinda have to notice yeah, all you have to do is get it in the hole. Who cares how it looks? Now, obviously, you need to know you don't want to just get lucky every once in a while. Granted, I don't really
Mm,
believe in the word luck too much, but you don't want
love
to,
that.
it to look hideous and, just sometimes do really well and sometimes not. You need the consistency aspect. But with that, you brought it up a little bit with, starting to grasp the mental side of the game, high school. So we're talking 14-ish, 15 years old. How did that come about? And what were some of those first few things that you started to realize, like, oh, no, I shouldn't be thinking about it like this. I should actually be just paying attention to these things and getting out of my head and doing what I need to do again on the mental side of it.
That's a great question. So once I started kind of really seeing that I was like a solid player, I won a lot of junior events before high school and whatnot, and and then I started getting kind of reached out by Michael Fisher, Coach Fisher at I don't know what he's doing now, but he was my high school golf coach at Winston Churchill, and he just kind of reached out to me, had me come to tryouts. Even though I was in 8th grade, he had me come to tryouts for the high school team, and it really exposed me to kind of the vibe of like of a more like a mature tournament setting when people are trying to qualify, things are on the line,
Mhm.
and I just saw a lot of these players all kind of they're all vanilla. Everybody was just kind of even keeled. I mean, sure, there was the people who didn't make it, who were just like head cases or just weren't very good, and that's just how it goes. But the people who kind of made it to the top, even at that like as low of a level as qualifying for your high school team, you just saw that for the most part they're pretty even keeled. I say just playing vanilla, not too many highs, not too many lows, and that really resonated with me. And I just kept in specifically Luke Shapp. He played for UVA. He was my teammate as well on at Churchill in high school. He was probably the most boring guy to watch, but he'd shoot 36, and he'd like
There you
his
go.
swing looked kind of and I was like, what the hell? I'm swinging it hard and hitting it past him and blah blah blah. But that's like the learning curve. You got to play with people. You got to play with people that are better than you in order to like kind of improve. And it's a lot of just exposure,
Mhm.
because you just got to get reps in with golf. Golf is so hard, and it's so much experience, and you really can't just learn the game on your own. You need to learn the game from the community, from those surrounding you, from those who introduce you to the game, and just people who are better than you. So yeah, watching Luke really helped me. I mean, he just kind of, it looks like he didn't even give a crap when he was playing, but he's like, here he's making like stringing 9 pars in a row. I'm like, okay, I shot 41, he shot 36. What's up?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's just, kind of growing and being mature too, and understanding that usually, as and we'll talk a little bit about it later probably, but being even keel, being vanilla is actually like super, super useful in business.
Yep.
You never really want to, and in most aspects of life, honestly, you never really want to get too high because the best highs, that's not where you're going to live at every day. And you don't want to get
Nope.
too low because the
Uh,
lowest of lows is not where you're going to live at every day. You probably have to keep it closer to that middle and keep that roller coaster just a little bit more, I guess, boring for lack of a better term, because that's
exactly.
most likely going to be an easier ride up than just these huge peaks and valleys, which is not very fun either. But with that, I guess the other aspect of the maturity too is really learning from those ahead of you, right? Or learning from others around you, surrounding yourself with really good people. Again, this is another business lesson. That's why I'm
Yep.
excited we're getting to have
Hugely
this
business.
conversation. It's surrounding yourself with smart people and utilizing it. So I guess throughout high school, how were you able to keep those, get better at, not being a head case, your words, not mine, and kind of get that roller coaster to be a little bit more boring? And how were you able to soak up that information? As you were saying, you were a sponge when you were 8, soaking up the game. How did you then start to soak up more of the personalities, I guess, of the people around you to, again, keep yourself a little more even keel?
So first off, I'll say, like, harping back on what I was saying, boring golf is good golf. Fairways, greens, obviously that's so general and cliche, but that's very true. Um, Now, when I was in middle school, and whatnot, I played on municipal courses, like public courses, like pretty much since I was until high school. And thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad, for he realized that I had some potential, and he was like, "All right, we got to get you into a place with a little bit better facilities, a little bit more challenging courses, and just better players." That was the main thing. Like, I'm playing every weekend and during the week by myself, but every weekend with my dad and his buddies who are older, and they just are weekend warriors. That's not going to really like push me that much. I'll think I'm great every time.
Mhm.
So I needed little bit of a reality check, and he got us into Lakewood Country Club, and that's where I started meeting, started seeing like current college players at that time anyways, but the more of the people kind of like were in my age range, like this kid Justin Feldman, Josh Jacobs, Ben Lieberman. These are all kids who kind of were aspiring to be college and then went on to play college and whatnot, and now they're doing whatever they're doing. But just being around that, playing the games with them, playing match play with them, not so much playing stroke play and worrying about every shot, but just being in a match and having every single hole be intense. And that was really interesting. And um, I think mostly that it was just being beaten, and seeing what parts of their game was just better than mine, and starting to take like stats of my rounds because I saw
Mhm.
that they're doing stats. It's just like being around people who are better. I can't harp on that enough, because that will solve your problem. I could go on and say like the little things, like how I started taking statistics of my round and whatnot, and how I started doing like a wedge a wedge clock system to like make sure I had my 75-yard, 80-yard, and 100-yard wedge swing. It's just being around those who are better, and then you'll see like, humans are social creatures. You just need to go and be around it, and you'll see and you'll catch on to things, like exactly like taking
Mhm.
statistics of my round. I saw that Justin was doing that, and I was seeing that I was hitting less than half the greens per round for 9 holes, let's say, and he was hitting, maybe missing a couple. And then it's like, me not being as knowledgeable of the game, it's like the gears start to turn. Like, man, if I just hit like 9 greens, I don't have to putt nearly as good. It's like I was a streaky putter, and it's like I'd play well when I was putting well, because it's like I'd hit a couple greens, and when I hit the green, I'd make the putt usually, and then I would, and then now I'd luckily get up and down, but maybe not. And so it's really about this. That it's getting beaten and being exposed
Mhm.
to that whole entire community. It's like
Mhm.
with business and whatnot, with cars, which I'm very avid about. I learned so much about the VW community since I've joined Facebook groups over the past couple of years, because I like to tune my VW MK7 and GTI. Thanks, VW. But it's just like that.
Yeah. No, I get it. I mean, again, you're completely right. Humans are social creatures, and we should be around each other, learning and soaking that information up from each other. I think that's one of the most important things we can do, and that's also why we're such storytellers. That's why I love having these conversations, because I get to hear all these stories about Ben Lieberman. Shout out Ben. I hope he's doing really well, right?
he's
And
he's,
like,
he's currently getting his math major at USC. Good kid.
good for
Or
him, man. That's awesome.
masters. Sorry.
All right, not messing
Yeah,
around.
he's a
Masters, my
genius. He played
goodness.
at
Yeah.
Muhlenberg. He was very particular, and I saw that in his game. He was like kind of like a mathematician the way he approached the game, and it's just like the way everybody approaches the game. It's kind of like you take all that in, and then you kind of make it into your own. And
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yep.
what's it called? I was just about to say something.
Sorry for
Here,
cutting you off.
no, keep going.
Okay,
It'll
because I
come
was
to
gonna
me.
say, like, it's the important.
Oh.
Okay, you're good, you're good.
Like, and the most important thing is like you have to fail with anything. If you're gonna get good, you have to suck. You have to fail. So, and it's not about like, oh, you failed. It's about how you recover and how you react to that failure. I call it RTR, real time resilience. It's um it's being able to like shank a shot and then get up to that next one and be like, look, like I realize, not ignoring it and be like, oh my god, I just shanked it. I just shanked it. It's like taking, kind of getting a helicopter and getting a bird's eye view and looking like, yes, I'm nervous. I just shanked that shot. Yes, I know this can happen again, but I'm going to put all my energy into
Mhm,
the task at hand and not my nerves. And that's real time. Like that's just a short example of real time resilience and being able to just bounce back. And it's just like the reaction to failure.
mhm,
I think failure is great. You need to fail. Life is filled with failure, and the more and more comfortable you become with failure, the more and more resilient you'll be, and the more eager you're going to be to try new things. I mean,
mhm,
I just started bussing tables a couple weeks ago, and I mean, I can't do that anymore because of Corona spikes, RIP. But it's just like I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, why not? It's like you get to really see the world, get to meet new people. It's just like a completely different venture for me, and it's something small like that where sure it didn't go as well as I wanted to. I made only like some money, but it's just like, look, now I can look back on that. Just little
mhm.
things.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for every single person at some point in their life working in the service industry because I feel like I worked in a restaurant for about 10 years.
Wow,
And the people who have never worked in a restaurant a day in their life, it's very easy
that's
to
so
spot those
true.
people. So, I think I'm a very big advocate for that, but I think that's a whole other conversation. Because as I said, I pretty much grew up in restaurants. My mom
Yeah.
worked in them, and
My
I worked in one for about
uncle's
10
gonna,
years.
like, have all of his kids in the restaurant
Good.
pipeline because he does a he's a GM for, a general manager for, like,
Mhm,
dealerships, but throughout younger life, he ran a bunch of restaurants and whatnot, and he said that's where he learned, like,
mhm.
everything.
People skills. You learn how to deal with multiple different people and their personalities all
Adversity,
at once. A lot of
so much
adversity.
adversity, and also it's a lot of failure just in,
A
like,
lot of
little, yeah, it's exactly,
Yep.
it's like anything in life,
You
and
think not you think giving someone the wrong omelet's not that big a deal until you
oh,
give
it's a
the wrong person the wrong omelet, and it's a very, very big deal. I think routinely, server, waiter, waitress is, ranked as one of the most stressful jobs. Now, I personally don't feel stressed that much, like, that's just kinda one of my things. I don't know if it's
That's
something
your
wrong with my
home. Yeah, well,
brain or
that's
whatever,
it's
but
like that's your
I
home, you know?
love it. Like,
Yeah.
I kinda thrive on that stuff, so I loved being a waiter and working in a restaurant and kinda just, like, it's all reactionary. It's just figuring out, "Okay, something's
High
messed up. Well,
pace. Yeah,
we can't go back in time and fix it, but we can move
exactly.
forward and try and fix it," like what you were talking about, the
Real-time
RTR.
resilience. Yeah,
See,
real-time
I was
resilience.
coming back. I was coming back. Don't worry, I
Yeah,
got this, I
made
got
full
this.
circle.
But,
I love
no, man,
that.
I think I like how you look at it too because it's really important to understand, again, comparing it to business, and obviously we just did with restaurants, but being able to take something, understand, "Okay, I messed this up. Can't do anything about it now. There's really no point in thinking about the negativity of it, but what we can do is we can take a better step forward. We can try and correct as much as we did wrong last time and just do it better the second time." So I think that's one of the most important things that, about golf. And again, that mental aspect is we see it on TV all the time. You want to watch people melt down? Watch the final nine of a Sunday with me. Sit on my couch with me, and we can kind of laugh at those dudes and
I
those ladies
love
together
watching that.
because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's great television. That is real reality TV. Watching these dudes in front of your face melt down, like, I don't like it, but I love it.
Oh,
I love watching it.
it's the ultimate display of humiliation at
Yep.
the greatest degree, and
Yep.
that's what's so beautiful about golf. I mean, it'll expose you. You go take a guy if you really wanna see how a person is for, like, business, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, go take the guy to the golf course. But, like, yeah, you can really gauge how they are. If they're giving themselves 3 footers and whatnot, or they miss them, say, "Oh, yeah, put me down for par." I mean, that's just, like, a little inkling of how they
Mhm.
might be. It's like, if they're holing out every single putt, and getting the job done and whatnot. It's just like it's a little it's indications of
Mhm.
what's to come and whatnot. And but like you said, failure. Another person I could refer to is like Paul Yang at Method Automotive. He's my mechanic. He's a genius. But it's like he's built so many engines and whatnot, and he's done so much stuff that at this point it's just like for fun. It's like
Mhm.
he's just like, how can I figure out this challenge? But to get there was so much failure, and then looking back on that failure and being like, oh, that's right, this O-ring doesn't go here. Oh,
Mhm.
that's right, this piston and rod is whatever. It's just like
Mhm.
looking back on the experiences, and like for me, a huge thing for me is like not finish like the 18th hole. I kind of like relax. It's like with golf you can never relax like in tournament rounds. Really,
Mhm.
you just can't really relax. You always have to be focused. I mean, you can relax in between shots, but I'm saying with each shot you cannot relax because until the last putt is holed. Because I would come up to 18, I'd be like, I'm one under, like I'm
Mhm.
playing well, and then I'm just like kind of thinking about like finishing up and being like, oh, I shot one under or
Mhm.
something, or thinking about like the trophy that it's at hand or something. And then it's like you're not 100% focused. And if you're 99% focused but not that 100, that 1% can with a game
Mhm.
of margins as golf, that 1% could be a degree of loft that makes you hit it a little far right, and then you're in the water, and then you're walking away with bogey or double or even
Mhm.
worse. It's like you really got to control those controllables, like I said.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, and I think it's always very interesting, again, I like the way you said it, it's how do you say I think I'm gonna paraphrase, but the finest form of public humiliation
Oh,
is, watching somebody.
golf will humiliate anybody and everybody. Like you see all the what's it called? Tom Brady or whoever I forget.
Mhm. Yeah, the
Tony
okay,
Romo. He's like the big
yeah.
Tom Brady sucks at golf. He
Yeah, that was
sucks.
pretty
But
bad,
that
but it
was
was
pretty
fun to watch.
bad.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
no, it's
watching
fun to
it,
watch.
but
That was
yeah, it
awesome.
was
But
pretty
like
bad.
Tony Romo, like for example, he's like actually a golfer,
Mhm.
and he's like played in
Plays in the
Corn Ferry
Pro-Am
Tour
ball.
events, and
Does
like
has he
plays in
really?
pro-ams. Yeah, he's gotten some like actual exemptions into them just because he's Tony Romo to get
Yeah.
like viewing up and whatnot, which is another talk for later because that could be viewed as controversial.
Uh,
But anyways, so it's like that guy, he's a world class athlete, or Tom Brady, who has 6 rings, I think. Yeah,
mhm,
like one of the best athletes in the world, and just like getting over a tee shot will make them shake like they've never shaken in their
mhm.
life. It's just like the ultimate, yeah, it's the ultimate humiliator.
It's fun to watch, man. I mean, obviously, the Masters last year where Tiger ended up winning it, I mean, he
Oh, that
shouldn't
was
have
amazing.
won that. Like, I mean, I was watching, like, Brooks Koepka missed a putt on
But
17 or
no, that's the
18.
thing. That's the thing.
I
He
know,
should have
I
won
know.
that.
I don't
He's
no,
like not he
exactly.
shouldn't. It's like
That's true.
all those people felt the Tiger effect.
Mhm. Yep.
It's not that everything aligned for them. It's that they lost. It's that
Mhm,
99%. They were 99% there, but Tiger just had 100% focus on
mhm.
every little thing. And it's like, what's it called? You're what's it called? Molinari,
Mhm. Yeah.
Francesco Molinari. You're standing on tee. It's like you're standing on 12 at Augusta National, like at Amen Corner. You're just standing there with Tiger Woods. It's like not that he made a bad swing or anything, or it's just the situation. It's
Mhm.
that Tiger's
Yep.
there, and it's
It's
like
the focus.
it's the focus. There's 1% that he lost, or Brooks Koepka missed that putt. It's like, man, maybe if he just like got up and hit that putt and didn't think so much about it, or maybe if he took back and really analyzed it. It's just like
Mhm,
it's like maybe he should have took that extra sip of water so his brain had full
mhm.
concentration.
Yep,
Crazy.
100%.
Maybe Tiger was just had that much more edge because he was chewing on CBD gum,
Hey, maybe
like
that's
he
what it
did that
is.
entire week.
Hey, man, whatever works.
That caused such a commotion.
I
And then
didn't I
yeah,
didn't
the Tiger chewing gum like the whole week. They're like, "What's in that gum? What's in that gum?" And then
know.
you see like Phil like taking a vial of CBD oil and going like this on the course and whatnot. And now you see Bubba's sponsored by CBD One or CBD Med or something. And it's just like any edge, and
Mhm,
anytime you lose that edge over, it's like just in that shot your mind can think about whatever you want in between
mhm.
those, and from the walk from there too, which is a bad thing because you can be
Yeah.
thinking negative things. That's what makes
Mhm,
it so hard. But it's like myself, I found it's like if I could just really put 100% focus on this like 3 footer, so I just guarantee I make it. Because if I'm thinking like, oh, I have this in the bag, but it's just like you have that 1% loss of focus. That's like a minuscule change in the putter alignment, and then it's like
mhm.
that's a lip out because this game is just so screwy, like
Mhm.
all other games, but like
It is
especially golf.
when you take a step back and think about it, it's like, all right, you're going to start 400 and change yards away, and you're expected to get the ball, which is like this big, into a hole, which is like that big in about 4 shots, let's call it. Like when you really think about it, the game makes absolutely no sense. Like
It's a
it's
stupid game.
ridiculous,
It's a
but
stupid game.
a lot of people love it. I love watching it. As I was telling you before, I like betting on it, making a couple fantasy lineups, winning some money. I'm all for it. So there's
Oh,
nothing
it's
against it.
awesome. It's
I
awesome,
enjoy
and
it.
it's like, man, because golf is such a funny game like that, it's such a funny and fickle and weird game like that, like, you could get such a dark horse to just go out there and make you some
Yep.
serious money through DraftKings or stuff like that,
Hey,
and it's also then, like, look at, like, Jordan Spieth, where the hell's he been? I mean, like,
yeah.
that's
He
unfortunate. He's like 2.
crumbles in what, the Masters it was, right?
No,
And
yeah, he did crumble that one time, but
that was bad.
he has 2 jackets, but I'm saying, like, in the past couple of years, like, he's a
Mhm,
multi-time major winner and has an op or he has 2 Masters and an Open, and here he is, like, not even top, I
mhm.
don't know, in the world, and so it's just, like, it's crazy. It's a very, very,
It's very
very hard
mental, and
game.
I also
Yes.
wanna go back to a point that you made before, talking about how you can really find out a lot about somebody when you do go golf with them, and you were saying, like, are they within 3 feet and they say, "Pick up," and, "Okay, give me a par?" Like, the thing about golf that makes no sense, and you hear everybody complain about it, and I think everybody at some point has been, guilty of this, is like, "Oh, they're cheating." It's like, well, how do you really cheat in golf? Unless you move your ball, you're just kinda giving yourself less strokes. You're literally just lying to yourself because this game is you versus the course, you versus yourself. I never understood that aspect. You've golfed many more times with many, many more people. Why do you think so many people are comfortable with just saying, "Oh yeah, no, I shot 4," and everyone else is like, "I don't know, man. I counted like 8." Like, what are you talking about? Like, why are so many people just comfortable with it and just essentially lying to themselves and everyone around them when we all know, including themselves, that it is a blatant lie?
It's because people want it too bad. People, it's like things in life. It's just like greed. It's like people sometimes want things too bad, and they'll just like go take it. They'll people like rob, people steal, and also people just cheat their way through their life. I mean, like, that's kind of how it is, and that's just like a little. It's just like a little indicator of how they might kind of like cheat their way through life. Not cheat their way through life,
Mhm,
but
yeah.
just like,
No, I know what you
like
mean.
a representative of that. It's like it's just like it's like it's like, having your parents, like, buy you your first car or something, or buy you, like, a Mercedes as your first car or something, or it's like how car people say it's built, not bought. It's like,
Mhm,
did you really earn it, or did you just kind of buy it and just put it down, or not, or just, like, grant it to yourself
mhm,
because you think
yeah,
so? So, it's very interesting how you see people react, and also it's like takes into account like handicap. There's sandbaggers, and then there's like I forget there's a term for like reverse, like the opposite of a sandbagger,
mhm,
someone who thinks that they're better than they really are, and it's like you could see the handicapper, the sandbaggers. It's like they're playing it so they can beat you. It's like two different types of cheating. It's like
mhm, yeah,
I'm gonna boost my handicap up so I get more strokes and beat you and be like, well, I played well today. I'm a 13, but I shot
yeah.
75. Like,
Oh, dude,
okay.
I love those people.
And
It's
then
I
and
so
then and then it
keep going,
bites
keep
you in the
going.
butt. It bites you in the butt. Then there's the people who are like overly competitive, like man, no, like if I was focusing, I would have made that putt. And it's like, all right, well, you put down like you end up doing that a couple times around, and you end up with a 79 when you should be shooting like an 85, and then you don't get strokes in some type of event where it actually matters and the handicaps being involved. And then it's like if you don't, then you look like an idiot because you're gonna
Mhm,
lose every time. So
yep.
it's so funny. It's such a gray area, man.
It is too funny. So my cousin works for a golf, tech company, and they run events a lot, and I'll occasionally go help them because I've been to Wingfoot like 15 times at this point. I love it.
Really?
Gorgeous. Food there is amazing.
My father and I are playing in a tournament there at the end of July. I am
Well, hopefully,
stoked.
crossing my fingers that
Right before the 1 week before the U.S. Open, which will be
whoa,
unreal.
there we
Yes,
go. Yeah,
yeah.
I've
So
been to a lot of places, that people would get jealous about.
so
Unfortunately,
much Jersey golf.
yeah,
So
I
much
don't
Jersey golf.
really
I was
I just
spoiled
go
with
because I
Jersey
like
golf.
it. It's so nice, but, yeah, no, I mean, so I've been to Wingfoot so many times, and, these guys, they come in and they're all, they'll come up and they'll just be like, "Oh, you have my handicap down as, like, an 11, but I'm actually a 14," and we're just like, "Okay, cool," and then we change it, and then we come back, and we look at their score, and it's like, "You shot, like, what? Like, you shot like a 50? Like, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how it works." And so we always laugh. And But there's then you hear all the rumblings of the people around. They're just like, I don't know, is their handicap supposed to be that loud? And then they get angry at us, and we're like, dude, what do we want us to do? Like, we're not moral authority. We're just
Yeah.
running this event. But it's always just funny how many people, and people of prominence too. It's not like we're
Oh
running
yeah,
events
no.
for like, some small company. It's like Price Waterhouse Cooper, and they like have their executives there, and these dudes are just like clamoring over a single shot. It's like, it's a charity event. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, let's
Yeah,
calm
no,
down.
it's
But
just
they're all
like
about it.
it's like it's the handicap is the way that golf is not leveled. It's to make it a level playing field,
Yeah.
but at the same time it's not.
Hmm.
Um, but like these guys, sorry, I'm trying to think what I was just about to say on that.
You're good. No worries. Bad radio. We
No,
don't want
you're
dead
good.
air or anything, but no,
But yeah,
it's all good.
so these guys who come in there and kind of have this idea with their handicap and whatnot.
Mhm,
It's just like golf doesn't care about your handicap at the end of the day, and it's what you make. It's like I said earlier, it's what you make of it, really. And it's
mhm,
like, are you gonna hold yourself to a standard? And it's like myself, like we're working remotely. But I still hold myself to a standard because that's just kind of like how I am as a person.
mhm,
I hold myself to a standard with working out and whatnot. But like, I could not be working at like 10 a.m. I could just be kind of like twiddling my thumbs. But it's like I hold myself to a standard. I hold myself to a standard to work out once every other day. And it's like, or once a day. I hold
mhm,
myself to. It's like just how you hold yourself to a standard, and like literally, golf is like the standard that you hold yourself to, and the
mhm.
way you like approach the game. If you're gonna be if you're an honest person, a man of your word, and then you're gonna show it through your golf game. It's
Yeah,
like at the beginning of like one thing. Like here's a great example. I hate if I like just run up to the tee, no practice swings, no range time or anything, but I'm playing in a match, and then it's like whatever, and I hit my first tee shot and it's not a good one, and it's kind of in the crap or something, or it's in play, but I just they're just like, oh, breakfast ball, like you can just because like it's that is nice and it is common
mhm,
courtesy like that if you're not practicing, but it's like I'm playing for money, and it's like at the end of the day, at the if at the end of the round it's like
mhm,
and I take my breakfast ball, and then it's
mhm.
like I only win by one shot or one hole. It's like I'm thinking about. I'm
Yeah.
like, man,
Didn't
like
really win?
it's
Yeah.
like that could have. It's like that. It just could have unraveled a completely different way. It's like if you start out with a birdie or versus a par, it's just like completely sets the tone of your round. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. But it's like you don't know, so you
Or
never
a bir
know.
or a bogey,
Yeah,
start with a birdie or a
exactly.
bogey, it changes
Yeah, it's
things a
like
little bit,
sometimes
so
starting with bogey can like kickstart you to being like,
that's
okay,
true.
we need to like whip it into gear.
Mhm.
But
That's
it's just
true.
like it's things like that. It all kind of adds up, and it's the way you really approach the game, and it's like what you make of it. Like,
Mhm,
do you want to be honest, or and do you hold yourself to your standard, or and also at the same time, it's like how serious you are. If
mhm.
you're literally just going for fun, who cares?
Whatever.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
whatever. You don't have to
Whatever.
abide by any rules. That's the beauty of golf. You could literally cheat your way through the course and nobody's going to care. I mean, unless you're like playing with someone who will care, but and
Yeah.
also you can go and not keep score because you just want to get outside. I mean, people just need to get outside.
Mhm. Well, I
So
mean,
that's
I think there's
it's a great outlet for that
there's
too.
the famous quote, I think it's Mark Twain, "Golf is just a long walk spoiled."
That is
It's a
yeah, what is it
great
called?
quote.
There's a good book called A
Yeah.
Long Walk Spoiled.
Is that what it is? Okay, I thought it
Yeah.
was a Mark Twain quote, maybe I'm wrong, but, I
No,
mean, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, man, if you just wanna go outside and I mean, I think what is it, Coors Light? No free ads, but I think Coors Light has the awesome commercial where it's just like, yeah, it's just a bunch of dudes, they're literally just going outside to drink beer and, like, walk, like,
Yep,
that's it, and along the way, as we were talking about
they're hitting
before,
the
8-year
ball a
old,
long way. It's just getting in the way.
you're just hitting stuff with stuff, and you're having some fun doing it, like, why not?
Yeah,
Just enjoy yourself
there
a little
needs to
bit.
be kind of a redefinition or a new not a new narrative, but, like, just a kind of adjusted scope of
Mhm,
golf since the game is, like, constantly kind of teeter-tottering between, like, growing and kind of
yeah.
declining because it's expensive, takes time,
It has kind
it's
of,
bad
like,
for
an elitist attitude, or at
yeah,
least that's the
it has a
perception.
it has a bad
Yeah.
connotation just because of the history, just because, like, that's how it is, and then it's unfortunate, how the past was like that, and then you get, like, guys like Renegades and, like, Tiger Woods to completely change it, and
Mhm.
and it's just like, what's it called? Like, Coors Light is just, like, one of many things that should be
Mhm.
done to help grow the game,
Yeah.
and it's like there's, like, 12 whole courses that are being made now
Mhm.
because it just takes too much time, and it's also, like, it's less money to play because it's less money to maintain a 12-hole course, but it's also like it's not really environmentally friendly to have a golf course because of all the water and
Yeah.
whatnot. So it's just like this is a good step. It needs to have a redefinition of just making golf fun again and bringing new people in the sport and making it as inclusive as possible, because it's just like, yeah, you're right. It's looked as a white elitist sport, and because I mean it was birthed by like white elitist guys.
Hey, that happens, I guess.
Yeah, and
But
it's
yeah, I mean, it's
unfortunate.
definitely
It's just like
it's
anything. Like you could say like how this nation was found on like white people, and like how people are saying systemic racism.
yeah, which, that's another conversation we can have.
Exactly. One of the
Yeah,
many illusions of golf and life and business and anything. That's
and
another great thing about golf.
And the thing about that conversation specifically, we can have a little bit of it here, is, if you love the game as much as you do, you want as many people to play it because that's how you're going to find the biggest and best talent, right? You go to a big school, you're going to find more talented people because the pool is a lot bigger. Like if you
Mhm.
keep the game to a small number of people, as you said, and, kind of keep it to this one specific crowd where every once in a while someone can break in, you're not getting the best possible golf. If you
Yeah.
open this game up, make it a little bit more opportunistic, or that's probably not the word I'm looking for, make it a little bit more accessible, there we go, to a bigger crowd of people, you're gonna find more people that can play it from different backgrounds that will then be able to inject life. And, as we were saying before, golf, the best golf is boring golf, but also you're talking about kind of teetering on that growing and declining because the personalities suck. Like there's
Yep.
no one. I love Brooks Koepka. I think he's hysterical.
Yeah, you
Outside
need
of
like
that,
true like purists are gonna be like, "Oh, Brooks Koepka, shut up, he's annoying, blah blah blah." But it's like you need Brooks Koepka because he's a figure that'll attract other people. You'll if he's the non-golf guy, golf guy. He's
yep,
out there like it's like he's literally making. I'm sure it might not all be truthful. It's like I never practice, but it's like
yeah,
it's so fun that he's saying that. He's like, I never practice, and then goes out and has like how many majors? It's just
yeah,
like going to show it's like anybody. It's just this dude who's like he's like going and winning stuff. Or you can
kinda
put like DJ Dustin Johnson on mic, and he sounds like it sounds like he's brain dead sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that event they had right before the Tiger and,
Oh,
Tiger
the
Phil,
match,
the one with, like, Ricky and,
Ricky and Wolf. Yeah,
yeah, that
so you need
sucked.
that. You need that, and like
So
Wolf.
boring.
Shout out to Matt Wolf. I used to go to George Gankis. Shout out to George Gankis, one of the most revolutionary teachers of the game, and I'm still learning to this day and teaching myself because of just how his expertise. But Matthew Wolf, I met him. He's like I met him when he was before he was pro, when he was at Oklahoma State,
Mm,
and I mean, first of all, man, is he a player? But second of all, man, he's a great dude. He's just a good guy, and he's fun, and he's like, sure, he talks a lot, but you need that. You need people. You need personalities. Like Ricky's a personality, but he's like kind of past the whole orange phase. You need a new
yeah,
personality. You need Matt Wolf to go out there and trash talk and post Instagram pictures of him like shaving handlebar mustache.
yep,
Like you need
yeah,
that.
it's
It's like with any other sport. It's like particularly like let's say with like football and basketball, you're constantly getting young guys in because it's a younger sport than golf, just because like there's a lot of like veterans and blah 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 and what and whatnot. But it's like you're constantly getting new personalities, and because this is essentially like a business, it's all for revenue to keep golf going. We need people coming in and out of the system, like Zion.
mhm,
Zion is just like he's a person. Sure, he's a freak of nature and whatnot, but he's a personality. Like if you follow him on Instagram, Snapchat, I follow him on Instagram pretty carefully, and it's like it's so much fun. And then like I'm not really big into basketball, even though I used to play. I don't know how I was considered a center. I grew early. I grew early, but
that's
like, it's just like that's gotten me engaged with the sport, and it's just like little things like that. It's whatever you can do for engagement, I think.
And I think that's one thing that's really interesting and kind of weird about golf too, right? So I'm also a pretty big Duke basketball fan. So shout out Zion, let's go. But like with golf, I mean, it feels like, I mean, I'm 28. I don't remember a time where
My stuffed animal. There we go.
I don't remember a time where Phil and Tiger were not the two most popular people in golf, which isn't a problem, right? I also don't remember a time Tom Brady wasn't on the New England Patriots, but other people have come into the league since. I don't really feel like other golfers have come up and at least posed a threat to the popularity of Phil and Tiger, which I think is just such a weird way of kinda like that just is weird to me that no one had like,
Yeah.
everybody is just so boring. You have a guy like Brooks, which is awesome, but then as you said, the purists try and kinda, like, tamper that down, And the only way I know Brooks Koepka is so cool is because he goes on some of the podcasts that I listen to, and I think he's hysterical. Other than
Exactly.
that, I have no idea about this guy. I just know that he comes out for majors and doesn't really show up to everything else. Like after these interviews, I now like him a little more because I know who he is and his personality. But you're not going to get that from the Golf Channel, or you're not going to get that from NBC, which doesn't make any sense to me.
And you make a great point. And first of all, like it's just been the past decade, really, past 5 years, more so, where we've had these personalities come up, like JT. It's the young guys. Obviously,
Mhm.
it's always the young guys because they're in the future. So it's like Ricky Fowler, JT, Justin Thomas, Spieth when he was in his prime.
In his prime,
Uh,
isn't the dude like
I know.
31? Like it's so
I know, it's crazy. Well, he's gonna come back, and
I
then
hope
Wolf. But then it's like you gotta have like guys who are like kind of rude, like Patrick Reed. You need to
yep.
have that. Sure, there's a lot of accusations, whatever. Maybe he did do things in the past, but like he's still a man of the game. He's still a student of the game, and he contributes to the conversation. And it's like you got to listen to the conversation surrounding your brand as the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour constantly kind of has this in discussion with Patrick Reed and whatnot, and controversy and people talking crap about Patrick Reed. That's great. You need to have that. And what you said and like what you're doing right here, you're part of the solution for growing the game. Like No Laying Up is a great podcast where they have like people who you just like see like you think that they're boring, but it's like and you don't really get that much in-depth stuff, but it's like Webb Simpson.
Mhm.
One of the weirdest swings on tour, yet one of the most successful dudes. It's like you have him on for an hour, and it's like you learn all about him, and you learn that he's a jokester, and you learn that he's a fun guy, blah blah blah. You learn all these things, and then it's like they're making more effort. PGA Tour's making more effort. I mean, not thanks to COVID, but like because of COVID, with no fans out there, it's like finally they get their head out of their butts. It's like mic these guys up. You have the best players in the world. Mic them up. It's like so cool to listen and to even hear them say curse words. That's awesome to see that they're human. It's
It's
just
that, but it's also
you don't just see the action figure who swings and makes putts, and because that's all you see is just like through the lens.
and I think that that's twofold, right? So the people like you who love the game of golf, you want to hear them talk about the strategy. You want to hear them talk about kind of think through the process and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. Me as and I'm sure you also like the side I like. I mean, we can both
I want to
appreciate
listen.
it.
Like I want to hear both of it. I want to
Exactly. I want to hear
going.
the
I want to hear
strategy.
what they do
Yeah.
after the round. I want to hear who gets drunk as hell and like shows up the tee time and still shoots a good round. I want to hear who's like wearing the same shirt for weeks upon end or something. Just any little tour story is so fun, and the amount of like morsels of like gems of knowledge that are out there. And it's like even through just like kind of interviewing the older guys, because it's like you kind of bring back the OG days, but you hear the stuff that you never really got to hear about, which you kind of get to do now. It's just like constantly reviving the conversation and getting anything you can just to keep it interesting. Because I mean, like if you're not really playing golf, it's like has such not a negative stigma, but it has such a boring stigma. I mean, it's just like you're out there for like 5 hours and you're just like it's hot and you're just kind of hitting the ball, and all these guys are just kind of
Well, I mean,
just
it's
like it doesn't look that fun.
you hear about like whenever dads, and I'm using that term very generally. It's like
No,
it's
that's
an
a great
excuse. It's
term.
an excuse to get away from my wife and kids, and then you go shoot like a 100, and it's just like you. And then I snap some of my clubs. It's like this. You're trying to get away from your family, and then you're doing something you don't like. Like I don't understand why anyone wants
It's
to
a
play this game.
contradictory game. The game in general is so back ass words. Sorry. It's just such a backwards game, contradictory game. Like for example, it's like if you want to make the ball to go from right to if you want the ball to go left like a draw, like start right to left, you have to be swinging out to the right.
Mhm,
And then so it's or if you want to hit a cut, you have to swing left. It's just
mhm.
like and the face has to be the open relative to the target or closed relative to the target. It's just like kind of goes against itself.
It's a weird game, but I enjoy it, and
It's
after
very
we're
weird.
done here, I'm probably gonna go pop it on the TV, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
yeah, what's it called? It's 3 o'clock. I'm off in a couple hours. So I'm definitely gonna go play nine with the boys after this.
There
Get
you
some
go. Yeah,
get
and you
a
probably don't even have work tomorrow with 4th of July and
nope.
everything.
Oh my god, it's tomorrow. No,
Well,
yeah,
tomorrow's
no, yeah,
Saturday,
no.
so tomorrow.
I was like, wait, what?
Wait a second. No, you're probably have off work. I'm just assuming it's
Yes,
in
yes,
the
yes,
6
yes.
national holidays we get, but, man, this has been awesome. We haven't even really like, we had a great time. We talked a lot of, like, the comparison, contrastion between sport, golf and business, and then kinda just divulged into what the heck's going on with the PGA, which I'm cool with. That's a real conversation right there. We never really got into you at Rutgers. We never really
Yeah,
got
no,
into
that's fine.
recruiting. We'll get there. I
Oh
don't
yeah, we
think
could
we can
do
right
plenty
now.
more.
I think we're gonna have to do this again if that's cool with you, because now we're
Yeah,
starting
no, I
to
would
get
love to. I'm
but
actually enjoying this. This is nice,
yeah.
therapeutic, cathartic.
It
But
is.
definitely
I'll take cathartic.
take those notes.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
like make sure you keep those notes on what we need to harp on next, because the recruiting process is
Yeah, I'm
very. It's a beast of its own. It's
yeah.
really. Oh man, is it stressful thinking
I
about
usually
like.
on here, I usually talk to, basketball athletes because I know I for
It's a
some reason
completely. It's so much
oh my
different.
god, I can only imagine. Baseball
It's
and
so
basketball, I've
weird.
heard of those recruiting stories, a little bit of college football, but more so on the lower level, not
It's so
obviously
much
the Alabama.
travel, it is so much stress, it's like, and because it's the smallest recruiting class every year, golf is, I'm pretty sure it's like, you only have, like, 2 seniors leaving or 1 senior, 3 at most. I mean, some teams have, like 4 or 5 seniors, but it's just, like, a bigger team, but really, it's, like, 2 to 3 at most per school, and there's only how many D1 programs. So there's only really like it's like it's under 1,000 kids in the country are getting to play, like closer to like 500 kids in the country are getting to play D1 golf, and then you're like in this kind of not
Mhm.
cult, but in this awesome community of D1 athletes, and it's just really cool. And the recruiting process is intense. I had to go through. I even like used a different resource to help me kind of get on my feet to figure out how do you tackle this? How do you get recruited by a D1 Big Ten
Yeah,
program?
I'm I'm
So
excited to talk
yeah,
about it.
but we got
I'm
to get
excited
into that.
to
That and
see
then college golf versus
yep,
high school golf. Oh my god, it's
everything.
so fun.
I thought we were gonna get there, but we had so much fun talking about Brooks
I can
Koepka.
talk forever.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. This was a blast. I had some fun. Hopefully, everyone listening and watching has enjoyed it too. But also just excited because you went to Rutgers and so did I. We both graduated from there, so that helped.
I love Rutgers so much. I didn't even know about Rutgers, man. I didn't know what a Rutgers was. I didn't before I was like, "What's a Rutgers?" And I remember I was like, I just get a call from Coach Shooty
Birthplace
in.
of birthplace of college football. You don't
I
slander Rutgers like that, man.
I know. I didn't know what Rutgers was. I'm sorry. I have family who live off of Exit 10. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even know how this lovely
Oh,
place is there. And now Rutgers is like has such a special place in my heart. I can't wait. I'm hoping I can't wait for spring. That's more realistic. Spring 2021, to get back to New Brunswick and get back to my house. And man, like have a good last semester of my masters. I mean, it's a great place, and I recommend everybody who's watching definitely check out Rutgers. Definitely have their children or whoever they know is looking into school. Definitely look at Rutgers for not only athletics but academics. We're an insanely good research school, an insanely well regarded school in the Big Ten. Better than Maryland, better than Penn State. May not be at athletics, but academics, I can
we're
promise you,
getting there.
we have way more to offer.
We're getting there in terms of
And New
athletics.
York City is right there. Penn State, like people, this is a controversy, but I think Penn State's kind of a disservice to people because it's like you're out in the middle of nowhere, and sure you can connect with people over remotely and whatnot. I guess nowadays, but like with New York City being right there, it's just a cultural booming hub, and you have the shore, and you just have the people of Rutgers. They're
Oh,
awesome.
that
Yeah.
that is an infomercial right there, and we appreciate you. Adam Gray, former Division I golfer at Rutgers, currently with Virtual Force. We didn't even get to talk about any of that, so when we come on next time, we will. Working on investor relations and still enrolled at Rutgers for the in their master's program for communication and media studies. I appreciate you so much,
Bada
Adam.
bing. Hey, Michael, this was so much fun. Thank you so much. Ross, Mr. Ross, thank you for
Yes.
connecting us.
Thank you,
Ross,
Ross.
yes, Ross is the man. Ross Kleinberg, KBG Media. And
Shout out Mark
thank
Beal
you.
too.
Yes, thanks, Mark
We'll
Beal
get there.
for
We'll get there next
facilitating
time.
this. Yes,
Yeah,
we need
man.
it. We really need to get on another one. Anyways, thank you so much. I'll be in touch. Just shoot me a text or whatever. I'm always available.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, take care.